Okay, so let's review the financial algebra test on understanding linear equations and functions, part one. And the first question said, which statement below best defines parallel lines? Well, we know, let's go through the choices. Two or more lines that have the same intercept but different slopes. No, we know it's not that one. Two more lines that have the same slopes and the same intercepts. No, that would be the exact same line. Two or more lines that have the different slopes and different intercepts. Nope. Two or more that have the same slope but different intercepts. Yes, indeed. B. Okay, the graph produced by y equals 3/4 x plus 9, and which equation below would be perpendicular? Well, we know that in perpendicular lines, the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So 3/4 x, the negative reciprocal of that would be 4/3 with a negative in front. So 4/3 with a negative in front, those two are out. That one's out. The only one that works is D. Okay. All blank lines have a slope of 0. Well, vertical lines have an undefined slope. Increasing diagonal have a positive slope. Decreasing have a negative slope. Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. If the equation y equals 10x plus 2 is graphed, this line's y-intercept would be located at, well, this is in slope-intercept form, so our intercept is right here, our y-intercept, and that's at 0, 2, because we know at the y-intercept, x is always 0. Number 5, the graph of y equals 15x minus 10 is a blank line. Well, the slope is a positive line, positive slope, so we know it's an increasing diagonal. Okay, let's look at number 6. Which statement below would not be accurate in describing the graph f of x equals, and then all those possibilities? From x equals 5 and greater, the graph would look like a parabola. X equals 5 and greater, x squared is a parabola, so from 5 and greater, it would be a parabola. So that is true. Between and including x equals 1 and x equals 3, the graph would show a vertical line. Well, this is between 1 and 3 right here, and this basically says f of x equals 10, which is the same as y equals 10, and we know a horizontal line is named by a number without an x by it, so that has to be inaccurate. Let's just check the other ones just to make sure, though. For x values greater than 3 and less than 5, there would be an empty space with no graph. So let's see. Less than 3, greater than 3 would be right here, and less than 5 between those two. Let's see. So that would be 4. 4 doesn't fit in any one of these, and that is definitely greater than 3 and less than 5. 4 would be an empty space, so that's true. Okay, this graph would include part of a decreasing diagonal line. Right here, this slope is negative, so that in fact is a decreasing diagonal line. So that's our answer. Complete this statement. All horizontal lines are blank to one another. Well, all horizontal lines are parallel to one another. They're definitely not equal. They're definitely not congruent, and these two mean the same thing. And horizontal lines are perpendicular to vertical lines, but they're not perpendicular to each other. Complete this statement. Vertical lines are named by their, well, they're definitely not named by their slopes. They're definitely not named by their parents. So it's either y-intercept or x-intercept. But we know y-intercept, they're parallel to the y-intercept, because the y-intercepts would be here on the y-axis. So that doesn't work. The only one that works is the x-intercept. They're named by their x-intercepts. How do we know? Because vertical lines go through the x-axis, right? Okay. If f of x equals 3x plus 5, then f of 4x plus 2. So what do? We put it in. Let's see what happens. 3, 4x plus 2 plus 5. Okay, here we get 12x. We get plus 6 plus 5. 6 and 5 is 11. There we go. Last one. M of p of 4 tells you to do what first? Well, it's telling you to, let's see. 4 is going into P, and then whatever comes out of that goes into M. So put 4 into a machine P, then then put the output of machine P into machine M. Yep, that's what we're doing. 4 goes in, whatever comes out goes into M. That's it. All right, let's check out short answer number 1. We're asked to get provide some information off that graph. First thing is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is located, remember that's the point where the graph crosses the y-axis, so that's at -3, and we know at the y-intercept x is 0. The x-intercept is located right there, and we know at that y is 0, and it looks like x is 5. We need to know the slope. Let's see. So if we go 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over, that seems to work just fine. So we're going up 3 and over 5. That's our slope. And we can write this in the slope-intercept form. Y equals 3/5 x. Remember, 3/5 is our slope. Minus 3, that's our y-intercept. And we're all done. Number 2, we're told to provide an equation whose graph is parallel to the graph of y equals 6x plus 7 and passes through that point. So we know parallel lines have the same slope, so we're looking for our b. We've got our slope already. We just need the y-intercept. But we do have a point. That point is at 28 for the y, and it's at 5 for the x. So now we can solve for b. We got 28 equals 30 plus b. So all we got to do is get that 30 to the opposite side. So 28 minus 30 on this side. And that's going to give us b on the other end. 28 minus 30 is minus 2b. I'm sorry, minus 2 equals b. So we got y equals 2x minus, y equals 6x, our slope, minus 2, our y-intercept. Let me just write that a little bit neater for you. Y equals 6x minus 2. Slope, our new intercept. Okay, next one, perpendicular. Well, we know that perpendicular lines, the slopes have to be negative reciprocals, so our new slope is going to be negative 5 over 4. Negative reciprocal, we flip it on its head, give it the opposite sign, and we are once again given a point on that line at 7, 4, and we have to find our y-intercept. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so we end up with 7 equals negative 5 plus b, and we can solve for b by adding 5 to both sides, so we get 12 equals b, and that's all we needed. So negative 5/4 x, and our b is 12, and we're done. All right, next we're told to evaluate this piecewise function for these particular x's. So when x is 10, which way are we going to go? 10 is greater than 4, so we're going to use this. And 2 times 10 is 20. You can do that math hopefully you can do that math in your head. Okay, when x is 2, that's less than 3, so we're going to use that one, the top expression. So we got 3 times 2 plus 4, which is 6 plus 4, which is 10. So we're all done with number 4. Question number 5. We're given 2 functions and we're told to evaluate. So let's see. Function f of 3. So we got 3 squared plus 2. 3 squared is 9 plus 2 is 11. G of 3. That would be 3 times 3 minus 1. 9 minus 1 is 8. Next one, we've got f of 4 and g of 4. So f of 4 would be 4 squared plus 2, plus g of 4 would be 3 times 4 minus 1. So that's 16 plus 2 is 18, plus 12 minus 1. So let's see, we've got, that's 10, 20, 30, minus 1 is 29. Okay, just 16, 18 plus 12, 30 minus 1 is 29. Yep. Okay, next one. G of 2, and remember we have to put whatever g of 2 is into f. So g of 2 is 3 times 2 minus 1, which is 6 minus 1 is 5. We've got to put that 5 into f, which is 5 squared plus 2. 5 squared is 25, plus 2 is 27. Next one, we're told to put do f of 2 first, so we're putting 2 into f, so that would be 2 squared plus 2, which is 4 plus 2, that's 6. And then we have to put that 6 into g, and g tells us to multiply 6 times 3 and subtract 1, that's 18 minus 1 is 17. Last one, multiply 10 times g of negative 5. So we have to put g of negative 5. We have to put negative 5 into g, so that gives us 3 times negative 5 minus 1. So that's a negative 16. Negative 15 minus 1 is negative 16. But then we've got to multiply it by 10, so that becomes negative 160. All right, so we're down to our last problem here. Last problem is a doozy. Wow, we got a big fraction in there. So let's see. Well, the easiest, there are a lot of different ways you could do this one. You could do the multiplication here first, distribute, and that would give you, actually, why don't we do that? We could eliminate the 2 here. That's one way to do it, but this actually looks like it could be pretty easy doing it this way. So let's distribute. We got 3 halves x plus 3 halves times 2, that's 18, divided by 2 is 9, minus 1 equals 4. Let's put together what we have here. 3 and 5, that's 8 halves. 8 halves x plus, we're given 9 minus 1 equals 4. 8 halves is the same as 4. So we got 4 plus 9 minus 1 for x equals 4. So that's 4x. That's 4x plus 8 equals 4. Take away the 8 from both sides, we get 4x equals negative 4. So x has to equal negative 1. X equals negative 1. We're done. X equals negative 1. We're done.